Greetings and welcome to Tuesday's edition of Istanbul's Everyday English. I am Natalie, your host, and I'm really excited this week because I'm not talking about grammar or language structure or words or concepts such as why translating isn't working for you, although it's related to that. I'm talking about mindset, the mindset you need to learn English. Now, yesterday I said I'm going to share with you the main thing that you need to do in order to learn English. And it's very simple. You need to look at English daily. You have to do something in English daily. I've been fairly transparent and honest. My Turkish it's orta, it's intermediate. But I look at, speak, use, write, read Turkish every day. Can you imagine if I didn't use Turkish? Can you imagine how my Turkish would be? It goes downhill pretty fast. Yesterday I talked about how I learned basic Japanese in 6 months. And I did it because I was exposed to Japanese every day. I studied for probably an hour or two in my room every night. I watched Japanese TV even though I didn't understand it. I was trying to speak to and listen to the people around me. So I was totally immersed in Japanese. Now, do you think however many decades later I speak Japanese? I don't. Now it's funny, if I have Japanese students and I listen to them, they say little things in Japanese. I understand what they're saying, but I've forgotten it all. I mean, I know things like sumimasen, excuse me, or sorry. I know o genki desu ka, how are you? Literally, are you healthy? More on that later when I talk about culture. But so it's a shame because I literally learned basic Japanese. Like I could speak and understand in a basic way. That's quite incredible. But I've lost a lot, just like French. I did my university degree in French. I was in French school for 6 years and then did my degree in French. I know French, but I've lost a lot of it. My ability to just speak quite freely is gone down. That's another thing. When I get some time, I'm going to just do some conversation practice with a French teacher. So if you don't use it, you'll lose it. That stands for when you are even fluent in a language. Now, it also stands for when we're learning that language. I want to say another thing that might be considered harsh. You can't learn English 1 hour per week. It seems pretty logical. I just said you need to look at English daily. But so many different programs or teachers are saying, yeah, come have a lesson with me for 1 hour a week. I can help you learn English for 1 hour a week. Of course, I give lessons all the time. If you want, contact me on Instagram. We'll talk. But if you think you're just going to have one lesson a week with me for 1 hour, let's say, and you're going to know English in a few months, that's not true. It's a lie. We could have a lesson and then I could give you homework to do. I could give you a schedule. And if you followed that schedule, yeah, in 6 months, you'd be A1 or A2 English, depending on how committed you were. But you're not going to learn English from 1 hour a week. You're not. I'm being honest. That bothers me. People thinking they're going to learn English with an hour a week. And what happens is this. I get a student sometimes and they start learning and they don't get any better and they quit. But they don't get any better because if you only look at English for 1 hour a week, it's impossible to get better. And so what happens is sometimes they blame me and they find another teacher. And then that teacher doesn't work and they find another teacher. Sometimes they think it's the platform and they go to a different platform. Or they try a different hack that some teacher has told them will work. And there's lots of hacks, let me tell you. I'm going through them hopefully one by one. But at the end of the day, nothing beats sitting down and figuring things out for yourself and looking at the language yourself. There's nothing wrong with you. You're not stupid. You aren't, language deficient where you just can't learn a language. You can. But it takes daily attention. One day I was teaching and I met a Brazilian man. He was in his 60s and he was retired. He spoke amazing English. I was so interested in him. I asked him where he was from and where he had learned English, and he started explaining to me about his life. As I said, he was in his 60s, he was retired, he was married to a younger lady, and they had had a child. His child was around, 12, 13, a daughter, and the wife went to work. So he stayed home and was kind of like a house husband. He cooked, he cleaned, and he learned English. He told me he had always wanted to learn English because he never had. It took him 4 years. By the time I met him, it was 4 years into his English journey. And he was great. It was amazing. He wasn't a professor at a university. He wasn't some kind of academic scholar. He was an ex-policeman. He had been in a special police force. He was just a normal guy with a normal life, normal brain. But he wasn't normal in one thing because he never gave up. He never gave up. It's like YouTube. I'm learning so much about YouTube. And let me tell you, I'm doing videos and some of them no one's watched. Not one watch. Some of them people watch, but not all the way through. But I won't give up. I won't stop. Imagine you put time, effort, creativity, love into creating some content and no one watches it. It could make you give up, but it won't make me give up. Because I know one thing. Whether it's learning a language or getting a master's degree or being a parent or doing a podcast for Spotify and YouTube, I will succeed because I have a growth mindset. I always have and I always will. And you're not born with a growth mindset. Maybe I was. I probably was born with that mindset. I'm very positive. I really believe in myself. But I have doubts sometimes. I think I'm an idiot sometimes. I do stupid things sometimes. But I have a growth mindset. I believe in myself and I believe in what I'm doing. I believe in helping people learn English and telling the truth to people about language learning. That's what this week's about. It's about me telling people the truth about language learning and how to learn. So even if one person watches this video and gets something for it, I've succeeded. The other thing is life is a process. Learning a language is a process. Creating a good video that's going to help people, it's a process. And it doesn't end. It gets easier, but you have to show up every day and do it. So what does it take to learn a language besides this growth mindset? It takes daily effort. It takes the constant activation of the areas of the brain used in language acquisition. All of the research in linguistics and neuroscience shows us that language learning involves multiple brain systems. So we have an auditory processing system, right? Audio, I'm sure you know that word. Listening. A motor system, speaking. It's like in my video on the TH sound. A lot of speakers just don't even have the muscles in their mouth to make that sound. Go watch the video if you want to know about it. But, the sound, the th, many people can't even make the sound. They don't have the muscles to make the sound. But you can learn. You can get those muscles. Then there's the visual system, which is reading. I'm a very visual learner. If someone says a word in another language and I want to know it, I say, can you write it down or can you spell it? Because that's how I learn. I put words as pictures in my brain. Your memory system, it's like your vocabulary, remembering those words. Your executive system's thinking. That's the other thing. Students learn vocabulary, they learn grammar, but they don't think about it. A lot of my teaching has to do with thinking about it. That's what my Successful Sentences Week was about. Thinking about how to make a sentence in English, thinking about it. Really saying to your brain, get this for me, I want to use it. So this is a network. And you've got to light up all these systems. Like I was saying, I was reading a Japanese grammar book and vocabulary book. I was watching Japanese TV. I was trying to talk to my students, talk to my boss in Japanese. I was asking my boss questions, trying to understand. And how long did it take me to learn? Well, I said 3 months. Now, I've got some research here. It says, according to the U.S. Foreign Service Institute, basic conversational fluency, so just basic, like my basic Japanese, it takes 600 to 750 hours of practice. I'm going to repeat that. To just become conversational in a language, it takes 600 hours to 750 hours of practice. That's 1 hour a day for 2 years. 1 hour a day for 2 years. Or 30 minutes a day for 4 years. Like my little Brazilian guy. This is a marathon, not a sprint. So, you want to learn English? That's the other thing. People say, I want to learn English. And I believe them. They do want to learn English. But do they want to put in the time and effort required to learn English? Many of them, if they understood, I don't know if they would want to learn English. But I also know that if you want to believe it only takes an hour of English a week to learn it, you're not going to. That's what the research says. That's what experience says. My experience and many other people's. We need to listen. We need to speak. We need to read. We need to write. And we need to think in English. Each of these activities activates different neural pathways. And when you do all of them, you start to learn English pretty quickly. This is my advice for starting to learn English. If you're going to tackle it every day and take my advice and the advice of researchers. Google or use ChatGPT and ask for the most used words in English. When you do this, ask for these words to be put in the following categories: nouns, pronouns, verbs, adjectives, adverbs, prepositions, conjunctions, and articles. Then you can look at grammar. You can look at my simple sentences video and the subject verb object construct. You can look at another video on here. I don't know. I'm sure there's lots of them. You can look at a grammar book and then just start plugging those words into that structure. Simple sentences. We're getting some thinking and practicing and reading in there. Let's get more reading. Children's books. There's a great one on YouTube. It's called Vooks. And I use it all the time with the kids I teach. And what we do is we can listen and read at the same time, or sometimes I stop the video and get them to read. Great. Kids books. I still read kids books in Turkish. So you're doing some listening. You can also listen to English music. There's tons of great English pop music or rock music. You can listen to a podcast. I'm going to go into the listening thing, I think tomorrow, because that's another problem people have. They want to know everything. That's another part of this. People don't listen to podcasts because they're scared. They're like, I'm not going to understand. No, you might not. I'm going to go into how you can understand and implicit learning tomorrow. But it doesn't matter if you understand or not. Just listen. Try and learn. Tell your brain, hey, this is something I want to know. This is something interesting to me. And your brain will help you. It's a computer. For writing, lots of my students are writing emails or they're responding to people with text messages in English for their jobs. Plug those sentences into Google Translate or ChatGPT or whatever you like, and take that opportunity if you have to write English. Don't write your email in Turkish or Portuguese or Mandarin and then translate it into English. If I write Turkish, I write it in Turkish. Then I get it checked. Then I see my mistakes. So not only am I practicing writing, then I get to see what I don't know because I analyze my mistake and I go, oh, I made a mistake on that. And why? And what don't I know? And then I go off and find what I don't know and learn it so I know it. So don't just translate. Write it in your target language and then check it. Now, linguist Stephen Krashen showed that language develops through comprehensible input. What does that mean? So speaking is important. You need words. Your brain goes and finds the words. Then your memory gets strengthened. Okay? And this is great. But this is the next step. I meet so many people who have gotten the idea. This is another thing I want to address. I can learn English by speaking it. Oh, really? If I say to you, est-ce que vous voulez parler en français avec moi? Est-ce que vous voulez apprendre le français? You're not watching this video to learn French. You're trying to learn English. And you, unless you're French, didn't understand any of that. No matter what I say, if I say those sentences again and again and again, you're not going to understand them. That's why when my mother speaks loudly to people who don't understand English, they still don't understand English. And I say to her, Mom, their hearing is good. They can hear you. But they don't have the neural pathway in their brain for that word. If you don't know that the words baby Kermit mean this thing, me going baby Kermit, baby Kermit, baby Kermit, even if I hold this up, baby Kermit, if I go, baby Kermit, do you like baby Kermit? I love baby Kermit. Baby Kermit is so cute. Now we're talking. And this is implicit learning. And we're going to talk about that tomorrow. So you cannot learn a language by speaking it. You learn first. You do some of the things I mentioned in this video. And then you start speaking. And then you start practicing. As I said yesterday, on Friday I'm going to speak more about the actual websites or apps I use. I've already mentioned Duolingo, and that's something I want to get back to. People say I don't have time, like I said before. You know what? 15 minutes on Duolingo is better than nothing. That's what I say to a lot of my students who are taking an hour or two of English lessons a week. Okay, do Duolingo for half an hour a day too. Watch something for 15 minutes. Watch a video. Listen to my podcast. Watch someone else's. Watch Steve and Maggie, for goodness sakes. I love Steve and Maggie. I'll get to them on Friday. They're also on YouTube. Your kids, if your kid doesn't know English and you want them to, Steve and Maggie all the way. Look it up, Steve and Maggie. Okay, this is the hack of the day. Read out loud. You're saying, Natalie, read out loud? Read out loud. I've got my Turkish book here. When you read out loud, your brain thinks I speak that language. So here, I'll read from this book. Bir müşteri var ve bir amca ama hiç bakkala gitmeyen bir müşteri. Zaten en iyi müşteri hiç bakkal gelmeyen müşteridir. Okay, I understood that, but even if I didn't understand it, I'm telling my brain and my mouth and my tongue and my eyes, hey, you know Turkish. Even if I didn't understand that. Don't worry about content. Don't worry about meaning. Just read. You're looking at the words. You're trying to speak. You're trying to pronounce. Your ear is hearing you speak. I don't have time to study. Fine. Just read 1 page of English a day. That's something you can do. If you only do a page a day, you might learn English in 5 years. But, you know, I'm sure you're doing other things if you're watching this video. So a great thing you can do is read English. And you don't need to buy a book. There's so much English on the internet. And again, we'll get to some websites you can use on Friday. Okay, read aloud. I love it. I'm always saying to my students when we're doing exercises and they just give me the answer and I say, read the sentence. Read the entire sentence. Why? Because just what I said. Your eyes see the English word. Your ears hear you speak the English word. Your muscles, you know, everything is like, I speak English. All right. Consistency is key. I'll end with that. Consistency is key. Listening, reading, writing, speaking, and thinking. You've got to eat, sleep, and dream English to learn it. Not a popular idea, but the truth. Okay, tomorrow I'm going to go into implicit learning. I think it's very important what I'm going to say because I think if you hear it and understand it, it will really, really, really help you learn English. Thank you so much. Have a good day, afternoon, evening, night. I'm Natalie, and you've been listening to Istanbul's Everyday English podcast or watching it on YouTube or Spotify. Thank you so much. See you tomorrow. Goodbye.